Hey, this is Bruce from Awesome Arcades. In this video, this is my cabinet, by the way. I'm going to show you how to enter the setup screen on the 60 game board. And of all the game boards, this one's probably the easiest. So, first thing I want you to do is, with the machine powered off, I want you to pay attention to these little light switches. And you'll notice, try to get that to focus, they are numbered. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dip switch 1 will, and remember, if you're going to switch these, it's fine, but make sure the unit is powered off while you're doing it or it won't make the changes. Dip switch 1 flips the orientation. So let's say I've got my lid down and I turn the machine on and the screen's upside down. Turn it off, flip dip switch 1 to the opposite position of whatever it was in, and that will correct that issue. Dip switch 2. Dip switch 2 says that I have a new LED or LCD monitor, not a CRT tube monitor. So dip switch number 2 is going to be in the down position for like 99% of people. If you have a CRT tube monitor, dip switch 2 will be in the up position. Dip switch 3 is, do I want to save high scores? Now, I should let you know, this board's a little dishonest. The 60 game board, the company that makes it, they say it saves high scores. It does, sort of. It saves high score. Singular. It'll save the top score only, and it doesn't save initials, which to me is not saving high scores at all. So if you're expecting it to save high scores in the traditional sense, that's not what it does. I don't think they should be allowed to tell people it saves high scores, because you're going to be very disappointed when you find out that it saves the top score. You know, so if there's like 6 scores on Donkey Kong, it's only going to save the top guy, and it won't save your initials. So kind of what's the point? But to do that, you have to have dip switch number 3 in the up position. If it's down, it doesn't do any type of high score saving. And I should just say, if you like high scores, you should get a Pandora game board. I've got a ton of information about that on my website, so check it out. But the Pandora DX will save your high scores. It's the only board that I know of that does. Multi-game board, I should say. Okay, dip switch 4 is the one that's going to enter its setup. So dip switch number 4 should be down to play games. It should be in the up position to enter the setup. So now that we've seen dip switch 1, 2, 3, and 4, 4 is up, we're gonna flip the machine on. Now, the 412 board is pretty cool because it has these blinking lights. Green solid means the board is good. Blinking green means it's loading. Yellow means it's loading. If it's red, your board went bad. This is probably the most durable board I've ever seen. I mean, these things are workhorses. They've been selling this in the United States since, gosh, like 2010. In that time, I've gone through thousands. I think I've had maybe 2 or 3 fail over the years. So it's a very good, reliable board. And the cool thing about it is you don't have to figure out what the problem is. You know, because if the board's not working, you got to figure out, well, oh shoot, is it my monitor bad? Is it my power supply? This one will have a nice red light there, just telling you it's your board. So now that it's on, this is what the setup screen looks like for the 60 game board, okay? The purpose of this video is to show you the I/O test, which is a diagnostic test. And the first thing I'm going to point out on my particular cabinets, a lot of cabinets don't have this. They just have 4 bolts, and if you want to work on the bottom of the cabinet, you have to take the bolts out or screws and then kind of just dangle the control panel by the wires kind of hanging there, or put like a chair or something. Mine are on hinges. So in order to get to that, you'll notice there's screws there. That's what they look like. And I have removed them. Let's see where they jam. But this gives you access to the underside of the joystick. And if you're curious to see how the movement is generated, up, down, right, this is how diagonal is created. Micro switches. These are called micro switches, by the way. Every micro switch has 2 wires. There's a black ground wire and a colored wire. Same thing for the buttons. Notice there are colored wire and a ground wire, and then a little clicky guy. And then, if you're curious, these wires go all the way back to this, your harness. And so, like pink, that's your C button. Here's C as it connects to the harness. 1 player is the side with the writing. And flip it over, that's your 2 player. So that's like your 2 player C button right there. Anyway, so in order to get to the diagnostic test on this board, you have to get through every single game. To do that, you're gonna do, it says S2. A, B, and C is the same thing as S1, S2, and S3 for purposes of this cabinet. So when it says S2 to go to the next screen, we're gonna press the B button. And if you're curious, this is where you can make changes to games on the 60 game board. You can increase or decrease the number of lives. On a lot of the games, you can change the difficulty. And so if you want, you can mess with that. I leave it the factory default because I want it to be as original, as close to the original as it can be. So we're gonna keep going through all the games by pressing B. Again, there's 60 games. So I think you have to press the B button 60 times. But just know you're gonna have to keep pressing the B button until you can't press it anymore. You'll eventually back up to the end of the menu, and when you're there, then you did it right. All right, what am I doing? Oh, I was like, how come I won't back up? I disconnected the C button in the first part of my video. Okay, good. So this is how you check the volume, if you're curious. All right, we are now on the final screen. Joystick here, so on this one I press up, so you know it's getting a signal. Down, left, right, 1 player start, 2 player start, and then I don't have the trackballs plugged in, but if I did, this is how you check the trackball. This is how you check diagonal. So you want up and left to hit at the same time, or down and right. That is me doing diagonal. Okay, that's just how you check. And so if you have a cabinet, if you have a 60 game board, and if you call me and say you are having an issue with the joystick, the first thing I'm gonna tell you to do is to do a diagnostic. Go into the IO test screen. I'm also gonna tell you to open the control panel, and I want you to show me the bottom of the joystick. 99% of the time, if a joystick stops working, what happened is one of these little wires pops off the spade. Okay, sometimes they vibrate. Sometimes these things are a little looser than others. These ones are snug on here, but sometimes in the assembly process, if I put them on and off too much, they'll get loose. Sometimes you just need to get a pliers and do a little squeeze so they stay on there tight. Same thing with a button. Sometimes a button will like get off its seat like that, and then when you push it, you hear it. So one is clicking, this one is now unseated, it's not clicking. So sometimes you'll just have to do that. And sometimes the micro switches fail, which is a lot more unusual, but you know, anything electronic, sometimes these things will go bad. You'll have to swap one of those out. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.